Okay, Nikki, this is the hopefully quick demo to show you how to get a better kind of gradation and shading in the painting that you're working on. And I'm going to show you two basic techniques. One is a dry brush technique, and the other one is a glazing technique. And so what I've done here is, as you can see, I put out, this is like a little test painting area of the same pale magenta that you're using for the model's face. And this is black, and I put that down because that's kind of what you're working on with the black leather jacket. And so I'm going to show you the technique on both of them. I've tried to get the camera as close as I possibly can so that you can see like the mixing area that I set up. You know, I've got my magenta over here, I've got my white over here, and actually I'm going to put some more white out. Okay. There we go. And the black, and the black goes over here. So I've got my three colors, and this is kind of like where I'm mixing everything. And here is her face, and I just painted it solid, pale magenta, because that's kind of what yours is like too. And now I will show you how to do it. I'm just waiting to make sure all the paint's dry, because you want to make sure you're doing this while the paint that you are either dry brushing over is dry, or the paint that you are glazing over is dry. And it looks like we're pretty okay. So the key to, first you need a small brush. That's definitely a big help, because this is a really small area that you're painting here. And so you need to make sure that they call it dry brush because the brush should be dry. So I'm drying the brush over here, you know, and kind of pushing it around on the paper towel just to make sure it's like completely dry. And so you want to make a little shadow up here. So you want a magenta that's a little bit darker than this is. So here's this magenta. So I'm just going to mix up like a little white, make it a little darker. Okay. And you don't want the shadows to be too dark, because I'm looking at the photo and the shadows are not that dramatic. So I'm going to add just a teeny bit of like gray in there too to make it even darker. Maybe a little more magenta. I just want it to be sufficiently darker. Also, you know, I know that it's the camera's up pretty close. I just hope you can see this. You know, and I'll play it back before I send it to you. But hopefully this is close enough, and I can take much closer photographs of what it's supposed to look like if you need that when I'm done, after you've done viewing the demo. So I've mixed the paint, okay, the darker paint. You can see it's darker than this. But what I want to do is like, kind of smash it down on the palette paper and even get it like, kind of get some of it off on this, because I want very little paint, and I'm just going to do this really dry brush thing. And you can see I'm kind of laying the brush down, kind of like at an angle. It's kind of like, I'm not painting this way, I'm like putting it at an angle. So hopefully you can see that, and you're just brushing it really lightly and using the texture of the paint that's already on the board, as well as the board itself, to get that kind of effect. Let me do it down here, because I remember this was kind of a bigger area. Maybe this might be easier to see. And of course you want it darker, you darker and thicker, like along the edge here. And you can see I'm not moving my hand at all. I'm just like moving my thumb and my forefinger. Like that. And again, just on the test strip. So if I put too much paint on, it'll be like paint, But once I get some of it dry and the paint itself starts to dry, you can get these effects. Very gentle. Again, you can see I'm kind of laying the brush down on its side almost. And you can get it to be really faint, or if you want to make it really thick, you can make it really thick too, like that. So I'm looking at my little screen, and I think you can see that. I mean, I'm looking at it on my iPhone, and I think once it blows up to a laptop size or a desktop size, you'll be able to see that a little more clearly. Now, glazing is totally different. Dry brush involves the brush and the paint being dry and not using very much of it. Glazing is you're putting a layer of transparent paint on top of the already dry paint. And so you want this same kind of darker magenta. So I'm going to put some of it here and add water to it. And I'm dipping the brush in the cup, and that's it. Okay? And now so you can see it's all watery. Okay? And you should only do this when the paint that you're painting on is already dry, you know. And so there's actually, it's still too dark. I'm going to add even more, another brush. I'll add two more brush loads of water to make it really, really thin. And then you want to do, let me see, let me move the camera. Hang on, I got to be careful with this so you can, I can see that you can't see some of that. So what I'm mixing the paint with like 3 brush loads of water. And then I roll my thumb and forefinger like this. Okay, I'm like twirling the brush. And I twirl the brush through the paint and pull it out. You know, and that should give me a pretty, you know, pretty sharp point on the end of the brush. And then what you do is you just paint over a glaze, you know, on top of the dry paint. And that's a real subtle way of creating a shadow like that. And as it dries, you know, you have to wait a little while, but as it dries, you can even brush stroke, dry brush that, you know, and so you have a nice solid glaze here, you know, and then if you want it to be darker, just wait for the first layer of glaze to dry, then put another one on. You know, it takes a couple minutes, but it works. So now I'm going to dry the brush out. I'm poking it onto the paper towel, and now I'm going to like do the dry brush technique along the edge of this wet paint, so it looks even smoother. So that's another. So you can do dry brush, wet brush, or a combination, which is what I'm doing here. Right. So we'll put that. I believe, and you had there was like a blush, like a shadowy area, like she has real strong cheekbones. Okay, so oh no, let me put this back the way it was, so now you can see. Make sure you can see. A little more. Sorry, I'm just adjusting the camera so you can see everything. So I'm going to just put a little here, you know, and a little under her jaw, you know, because there's a shadow under there, and that's glazing, you know. So, and they both, this is obviously going to be more opaque. You know, you won't get as much of the under painting showing through, but who cares? You know, you're just trying to get the values right. So, dry brush, glazing, and glazing with a little dry brush action added. Kind of like that. Oh, and so the last thing I wanted to show you was the leather jacket, because it's, you know, it's pretty much black. I know I don't want you guys using pure black on this assignment, but I just put black down because it's faster. So I'm just going to put the black down and do a dry brush thing here. And let me get closer. Yeah, so I'm putting white paint out here, okay, just a little bit, right? Kind of getting the excess off. Getting the excess off by stabbing it on the paper towel very lightly. And then I just do the dry brush on the black. This is just like the highlights that you have on the motorcycle jacket, okay? You know, it has, you can make texture with it, you know, like this. You know, it looks kind of cool. So this is how I would recommend you handle the highlights, you know, on the jacket. And some of them are really bright. It'd be fun to just take a big, you know, blop of paint, just like a real strong, like wham, wham, you know, like a highlight like that. So I think that covers it. And if you have any questions, or if I wasn't clear about something, you know, email me. I'm going to try to send this through to you now. It's 4:15 on Tuesday. So when you get it, like you can, I'll be having dinner soon, so I'll be kind of off the clock. But if you have any questions about the demo, or you know what I was doing, or you didn't see it clearly and need better photographs, just send me an email tomorrow and we can talk, because I got the day off. It's Veterans Day, so I'm free all day. So just not too early. Anyway, I think that's it. I think that covers everything that I wanted to show you. So we'll talk to you soon. Good luck. I hope it all works out.